Hi, and welcome to Three Questions With. Got my friend Laura LeBlanc with us from Express Your Wellbeing. Hi, Laura. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Kevin, I'm so happy to be here. How are you?
I'm just living the dream, my friend. I asked you to come on the show today so I could admit my sins. So Saturday was my nephew's 12th birthday. I go to his house. I look at the table, there are 3 cakes. And him and his 6-year-old brother like, Uncle Kev, we're going to eat all 3 of them. Okay. And they cut me very large pieces of 3 cakes. That, my friend, is a lot of sugar. And it kind of felt like it just set me off into a point where I just wanted more and more sugar for the next couple of days. Is that common?
Oh my God, that is so common. I mean, especially when it comes to sugar, the more you eat, the more you crave, right? And it's because, you've probably heard the expression, the sugar roller coaster, right? So when you're eating like simple sugars, it really spikes your blood glucose level, right? And then so it spikes it, so you get all this energy, right? And you actually, it's almost like you're feeling like jittery and anxious, right? Like you had too much coffee. It can be the same thing as feeling too much coffee, but you also get a dopamine hit, right? So there's that feel good chemical going through your body. But then what happens is you start to come down off that high, right? And you crash, and then your body has a craving. It's like it wants to get back up because it's you feeling so low, right? So it's really, really common. Yeah.
But how do I break it, Laura? Because sometimes it just feels like it lasts for days where I just keep doing that. Like I said, I want more. I need to get back up again. How do you break it?
Yeah. Yeah. So, the things that people typically try to do, right, when they recognize, geez, I'm doing this thing, I'm eating too much sugar, and I'm not feeling good, and I want to change it, is they try to just like focus on the behavior and the food, right? So all they focus on is, oh, I'm eating this, so I'm gonna like try to, restrict myself from eating it or remove it. But that doesn't really work because you're focusing on the external. You're not really focusing on like what's going on internally, right? So when you have like a craving, if you think about it this way, it's kind of like we think, oh, cravings are really bad, but you can actually think they're kind of a good thing because it's like it's the way your body's communicating that it needs something, right? So when you're talking about just, eating a lot of sugar, there's a couple things going on, right? There's the physical need of, right, you're not giving yourself the nutrients that it needs to balance out that blood sugar, right? So you have like a more even, steady. So there's the physical need, but there's also like an emotional need, right? Sugar makes you feel good, and we associate it with love and happiness. Like your nephews gave you all that cake because they love you, right? They want it. This is like something you guys are sharing together, right? So it's a way of connecting and love, right? So you have to really think about, okay, not just focus on the behavior, but the why. Like, why am I craving this? What's really going on for you in that moment, right? And so it's really about, again, I always talk about mindfulness, right? But it's like it's not just the what, it's the why. Like start to ask yourself, get curious and start to ask yourself some questions, right? Now, the thing is if you're not, if you can just meet some basic nutritional needs and not think about restricting, just things to add, that will help. Because if you can have more even blood sugar and you can kind of have that more even level of, energy, and you're not feeling so anxious, it'll kind of help you manage some of the emotional things that are going on, right? Because if you're on the sugar roller coaster, it's a lot harder to really take the time to be present, right, and calm when you're kind of all wired up, right, on sugar and caffeine. So
It's true. But like you mentioned, some people try to be super restrictive, Laura, and then they get mad or something happens. They're like, but I need sugar, Laura. And then they overindulge because they're not keeping it level. They turn to sugar, having a bad day. I just need a treat, Laura.
right.
I just need a chocolate cake, the whole thing. I need a
Yeah.
treat, not a slice. I need the whole thing.
Yeah.
So trying to be too restrictive, obviously going to backfire on you, right?
Absolutely. Think about it. Nobody likes to be told what they should do, or those rules, like when someone's trying, so even when you're doing it to yourself, it's kind of like, like, okay, so some things that people try to do, right? You're like, okay, they try to, like, I know some women will say, oh, if it's in the house, I'll eat it, right? So they don't want it in the house. But then what do they do when they're around it? They haven't really learned how to navigate that situation. They haven't taken the time to develop the tools and skills to navigate the situation. The other thing is, you're like, oh, well, I'll swap it out for something else, right? So I really want this piece of cake or whatever, and I'll have this, like, I don't know, this kind of healthier version of something, right? And maybe it tastes okay, but it's really not satisfying you because it's not really what you wanted, right? So then you still haven't met that craving need, right? So you're constantly in a struggle with yourself. So it really is about being, thinking about the root cause, like what is really going on for you, and having some baseline of trying to add some additional nutrients into your daily routine to help you, at least from the physical sugar roller coaster level, be a little bit more stable, that you can start to be more mindful, right? So there's a lot of simple kind of mindfulness tools you can even start to use, right? So you can practice, like, just like there's like the famous, I don't know, it's kind of, some people might find it a little uncomfortable and goofy, but the raisin exercise, like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the mindful, to like kind of just say, well, what is mindful eating? Okay, so you take like a raisin or a couple of raisins, and you basically mindfully eat them, right? So you kind of like look at them like you're present in the moment. You can't change what you're not aware of. So if you're not present, and most of us eat mindfully because the way we eat, it's a habit. It's an automatic reaction to a stimulus. It could be the piece of cake. It could be a stressful day, right? It could be not enough sleep, right? So we just are always reacting to the trigger and not stepping back and being more mindful. So even just like next time you eat something that you really like, just slow down, like taste it, feel it. Like, how does it feel? What are you thinking? Notice like why, and then I'll get curious, like, why do I want this? Like, it's a party, why you want it. You're trying to connect with, your nephews, your family. But if you're by yourself and you're like having like one of those cravings, get curious, like, why do I want this? Am I hungry? Am I really hungry? Am I lonely? Am I stressed? And it doesn't mean that you're not going to eat it, but the more and more aware you start to become of your patterns of eating and your, emotional triggers, the more you can start to work on strategies that work for you. Because a strategy that works for me is not necessarily going to work for you, right?
Yep. So Laura, what's the best way for people to reach out to you? How can they learn more, my friend?
Yeah. So right now I'm actually offering a really, really cool, just a free guide. And it's 6 simple ways to stop your sugar cravings and kick your sugar habit for good. So if I can share that link, and I also just want to say that anyone who shares their email with me and downloads that link, that in addition to that, after you receive the free guide, I'll be sending you some more good tools on how to address your sugar cravings and change your eating habits for good.
Awesome. Laura, I appreciate taking a few minutes to come on the show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
It's my pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.